Some video games take a while to get going, and some video games are bangers right from the start. Which video games do you guys think have the most amazing intros? Let's start with you, Lord.
Yeah, well, I'm going to kick it off with one that I just hold so dearly in my heart, and that's going to be Pokemon Red. To be honest, those intros where you're going through and selecting your Pokemon on the Game Boy, where you could barely even see what the Pokeball was. The Pokeball looked like a piece of lettuce or something on the screen. You didn't even know what it was. It was so cool. Like, you had no idea. Like, am I picking the Bulbasaur, or am I picking the Charmander? Or like, you just, like, back in the day, you just didn't know. You had no clue. There was no internet to go to know which ball to pick. I just think starting off the game in that way felt so, like, it just felt like you had all the power. You're like, I can have all the power. I can just start a new adventure. It's so cool. Like, and it wasn't even like a huge intro. All you had to do was like, don't go in the tall grass. You better go get your Pokemon. And that was it. It just felt, it was so good. It was a great intro for me. That's going to be my first pick.
Nice. Maulding?
My first one is, I think, also one of Dan's favorites as well that I may have stolen from him.
Yes.
Bioshock is just an incredible start to a game. So, like, you're on a plane, you're smoking, it's 1960 something, like, and then the plane goes down into the ocean. I don't even remember why the plane crashes, but you're the dude swimming up, and there's debris falling down on top of you through the water, and big explosions, and then you get to the top, and you swim to a lighthouse, and in the lighthouse there's some sort of bathysphere, and in the bathysphere you start going down and down into the water, and it's so memorable because you're just seeing it through like a little porthole, and then you see Rapture appear before you, and it's just this giant city underwater, neon signs promoting smoking, which is dear to my heart, and
Same.
And there's like a whale comes through, and there's sea creatures, and then you land, and then you hear there's like some audio of people preparing. They see that you're coming, and then you start talking to this dude, and I think it's Atlas, and then the enemy, you through the porthole you see a dude that maybe was coming to help you, and then this like zombie, like crazy killer comes up behind him and just slices him in two, and then the game starts, and I was like, my jaw dropped, because I mean this was quite a while ago, and I don't know that I'd seen anything like this at the beginning of a game before. I love it. Hope I didn't spoil anything. I don't think so. But watching it over again now, because I'm older, I'm like, how in the world did those people build that city way down there? Like, how did they do that? Like, that, you can't do that. And so
gosh darn it, they can't do
exactly.
that.
How is that possible? That's not real. That's not believable. But it was awesome to play.
Fantastic. And the music's fantastic.
Yeah, music's
Yeah.
My first pick is similar between two games. One, it was the old school, again, talking GameCube. Honorable mention to Eternal Darkness, because the game starts out, there's a couple of credits, but then all of a sudden, you are this woman in this room, and you can't get out, and you are surrounded by skeletons, and they're coming towards you, and you have a gun. The game hasn't explained anything to you. You have no idea how to use these controls. You're kind of shitting yourself a little bit, and all of a sudden, like, you get overwhelmed by it, but you're supposed to. The woman, the second she gets hit, the cutscene plays, and it's a dream. So I loved that sort of intro. But the game that did it best was Resident Evil 4. When you get to that first town, you are not prepared. And I know you get to play a little bit before hitting that town, but when the guy comes out with the chainsaw and everyone in the town surrounds you, and you're barricading yourself in this house, you're going to die a few times. Just suck it up, and you're going to have to get good, because that thing gave me a heart attack, because in the games like that, I'm used to continuing to go and move, and I can run. But when you're stuck in this town, all the doors are locked, and you're stuck with all of these people, and they've got some really creative kills with chainsaws and jumping through windows and all sorts of scary stuff. And man, that is a quick way to get good at that game. That game has never been scarier than that first moment. If you can master that first moment of Resident Evil 4, the rest of it's great. It's good stuff.
Nice. Good pick, honestly. Yeah, that one's awesome. My second pick has to be the intro for Half-Life 2. When you're getting off the train and navigating City 17, you got the bad guys like pushing like cans off of trash cans for you to pick up, which is just like an iconic moment. And then you just get into a huge shootout, and then you get onto like a river boat type of thing, and you're going up a river. There's a huge chase. There's people just all over the place. The graphics in that game back in the day when you first saw them were just stunning. They were
definitely
like peak still are great, actually. They look so good.
They
still
do
but
look great.
When you first got off and navigated that city, you thought, wow, this is truly next gen gaming right here. And they nailed that intro. You are locked in for the rest of the game playing as Gordon Freeman. The Combine are the baddies in that one. It's so good. It's so well done. And if I could just go back and erase one part of my mind to play that game again, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And that's my second pick.
nice.
I have the same sentiment for my second pick, which is Mass Effect 2. So Mass Effect 1, you play through as Shepard. At the very end, you save the Citadel, but you're the hero, and then 2 starts. And now you're like an established hero, and you're flying through space on your new ship, and you recognize everyone from the last game that you saved. And then this gigantic ship appears and just destroys your ship. The Normandy is just gone, blows it up, cuts it in 2, and then Shepard just dies. And you're like, what? This is the person that I am expected to play as, and how, like, what's gonna happen? I loved it so much. And not to mention, there's a little cutscene at the beginning, which has freaking Martin Sheen is the voice actor. You recognize him right away as the Elusive Man. You have no idea who this guy is, and you're like, wait, Martin Sheen is doing the voice of this game? Like, that's awesome. I loved it. And I feel the same way. Like, if I could erase that part of my brain that knows what's going to happen, and play that again, I would love it.
Wow, yeah, I totally agree. I loved that part too. And what's funny, because my last pick is very kind of similar to your pick. Back in the day, before all like the internet hype and all that sort of stuff, word of mouth was really huge, and someone had told me like, hey, you should play this game called God of War. And I'm like, okay, well, if my friend says so, I'm just gonna do it. So I get God of War, I put it in my PlayStation 2, turn it on, and it boots up, and it starts with Kratos, which I didn't even know who he was, his backstory or anything like that, but I know that he's the hero of the story, and because he's on the cover. And then he's at the tallest mountain in Mount Olympus, and he walks to the edge, and he's like cussing to the gods, and he's like sick of the torture, and he's angry, and it's been 10 years, and he can't handle it anymore. And then they just do a close-up of his foot, and he lifts it up, and he just jumps off the cliff and commits suicide. And then as his body starts to fall towards the water, this voiceover comes up, and it was like, the gods, used Kratos, and he was tired of it, and he was tortured for 10 years. And it's this woman's voice that's just really iconic, and she's done other voiceovers and stuff like that. And Kratos is just, screaming about something, and then shows the close-up, and then bam, right as it hits, the screen fades to black, and it says 3 weeks earlier. And so from everything that happened, like, at the end of the game, your character is going to toss his body off of this cliff, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but boy, is that an eye-opening sort of intro. And I was like, that caught my attention. It was so heavy and so mature, and the game's traditional storyline gets even heavier when you find out why he's got the white ash on his body and all that sort of stuff. But that intro definitely sets up an amazing first game, which went on to become such a famous franchise. Ooh, doggy, games don't always open like that one, but I sure loved it.
Oh, so good.
If they aren't one of ours, you guys should let us know in the comments what we missed.
Have a great weekend. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.